Okay, I'll be the first to admit that I wasn't the best student in grade school. Really, to the contrary, I distinctly recall being a pain in the neck. Take, for example, my 8th grade science teacher, Mr. Hellman. Yes, that was his name, and did I ever give him hell, man. One warm September afternoon, I began disrupting his lesson to ask obnoxious questions like, why is the grass green and why is the sky blue? Finally, Mr. Hellman couldn't take it anymore and smashed his fist onto the overhead projector, rendering it useless. Having been a science teacher in my own life now as an adult, I can understand his frustration, but it was clear to me from that outburst and the way Mr. Hellman lectured that teaching his lessons tended to seem more important than teaching me to be inquisitive about science. As a result, I recall being pretty unengaged in that class, even though science was my favorite subject. I remember not having the sense that Mr. Hellman cared that much about me, so I tuned out. Many of us have probably experienced having good or mediocre teachers, but few of us have had the great teachers in our lives. One of the great ones for me was my 5th grade teacher, Miss Van Dyke. Miss Van Dyke noticed that a few of us in her class were having a hard time keeping up with our assignments. Instead of scolding us, she took time out of her schedule, on her own initiative, offering anyone in the class to stay after school to learn some organizational tips. I now credit Miss Van Dyke and the care she took to provide that personalized feedback as a cornerstone for my own early academic success. In fact, it is caring teachers just like Miss Van Dyke that compelled me to devote my own life to teaching and learning. As a result, I try to surround myself with educators who care deeply about students and their success. One of the instructors I've had the opportunity to work with in the past few years is Amelia Layton Gamble. Amelia is a teacher who has devoted her life to helping first-generation college students with their reading skills and strategies. She does this because she knows how important literacy is for student success in their college careers and in their lives in general. Many people assume that college students already have these essential skills, and that if they don't, they're not fit for college. Amelia takes an entirely different perspective that empathizes with these students and their often immensely difficult life circumstances. She makes a concerted effort to get to know and understand each of her students. She connects with each of them on a personal level in ways that clearly communicate her strong passion for helping them succeed. The outcomes of her efforts and the voices of those who've taken her classes strongly indicate that her efforts are not in vain. Listen to the excitement in these students' voices recalling the community that was built in Amelia's class.
You came in, you was so happy. I'm like, yes, I come to your classroom to just make my mood better every day. When I got to your class, I was like, yeah, I could be myself. You're a good teacher. You got to know us before you talking to us. That's why, some students have a good relationship with you because, you interact with your students.
You see your background is kind of like similar to, a lot of ours background. So it's like, you're not coming down on us for smaller things. About you really want us to succeed. It's not like a front. It's not like you just saying it just because like you're a professor. You really mean it.
As you can hear, Amelia's positive attitude and the way she relates with students helps them know that she genuinely cares about them and their success. But what does this have to do with teaching, and why does this matter? In a research article published by College Teaching entitled "Do Your Students Care Whether You Care About Them?" Stephen Myers suggests that professors do not necessarily prioritize the relationship aspect of teaching to the same extent that learners do. He asserts that this is the case even though studies show that students are acutely aware of whether their professors care about them. Myers goes on to say, caring for students is not necessarily an easy task. Some faculty members do care, but feel as though their students do not notice or appreciate their efforts. Other professors feel that it can be too difficult to create caring relationships in large classes, or fear that they will be too permissive if they connect with their students. Still, others believe that caring is not a part of their job and that focusing on interpersonal relationships at the college level is soft or gratuitous. Although these sentiments may be commonly held, they undermine instructional effectiveness. So, if caring about students is so important for being an effective teacher, what are some tangible things we can do to demonstrate we authentically care about them? When students have been asked about traits of effective teachers, they often reference things like being clear in communication and organized with materials, but they also tie these things with being approachable, relatable, kind, and able to build rapport. Enacting these traits might be as simple as hosting office hours in a public area during prime times, or as challenging as making time to personally interact with each of our students. Okay, grab a pen and paper and take a moment moment to reflect. How do your students know that you care about them and are dedicated to helping them succeed? Take a minute to pause this video and write down one thing you currently do to build relationships and show students you care about them as people. Once you've written this, consider sharing your example on social media using the hashtag #StudentCaring so that other faculty can glean from your ideas. Alright, next write down one thing you could do to better demonstrate the care you have for your students. And as you do so, consider subscribing to a great resource called the Student Caring Podcast for topics, strategies, and ideas to explore further on this topic. In it, instructors are invited to join other professors as they encourage each other to achieve success. You can learn more about this at studentcaring.com. And I'll leave you with these famous words of Theodore Roosevelt, who said, "No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care."